Kia ora, brother.
Kia ora, brother. Kia ora tātou katoa, ngā mihi kia koutou I tēnei pō. Really awesome to hear so many whānau coming from all over the motu and even overseas. So just sitting there and listening to some of our whānau that come up and shared their stories. Really
inspiring, eh?
Inspiring, bro. You know, and to be able to share it with everyone that's out here, it's amazing. So it's a real privilege. I don't use that term lightly to be up here and just maybe talk through a few things. And
have a yarn.
Yeah.
Before we get into it, Karl, I just want to take the opportunity to acknowledge pity. Kia mohi o mai rā koutou, e haupu mai te tahi āhuatanga. So our thoughts and condolences are with Pity, who couldn't be here tonight as a result of one of his whānau passing. Nō reira, ngā whakaaro nui kia Pity me tana whānau. And so, Karl got the call up yesterday. E te whānau, wā te paki paki? Yeah. Brother, I do want to, me mātai whakamuri, I want to go back to where you grew up. I read out your whakapapa te Ngāpui, so tēnā whakamārama atu nohia koe.
Yeah, I was actually born in Palmerston North in the Manawatu. My old man, he was quite high up in the Māori Land Court and Māori Affairs, which is now Te Punikokiri. So he was passing through there, so I was born there, and that's where it all started. My mother, she went to a Māori girls' boarding school in the South Island, to Waipounamu. The old man and his brothers went up to Hato Tipene up here, and then my uncle and myself and my cousin went to Te College, so after Palmerston North went to, there we go, there we go. So it's cool to see old Peter, you know, being from Pidgepa and got a real connection there with the Hawke's Bay, and you know, Te College is probably where I got my foundation in terms of being Māori, what Māori looks like, what it's supposed to be like. Even though my mother went to Waipounamu, she was heavily on the Pākehā side in education, whether it be pushing maths, science, geography, English, all that sort of stuff. And I didn't sort of really realise how close it was in terms of generation that Māori was pushed out of our parents. You know, my dad was whipped at school for kōrero Māori, you know.
He was part of that generation.
Yeah, you know, and it took me until I was a teenager to really reconnect with that side of being Māori, being Anglican and going to church 6 days out of the week. It was a bit of a shocker. We got Saturdays off through footy. But Te Reo Māori was compulsory right up until sixth form or year 12, I think it is called now. So that was a real start of my journey in terms of me connecting with my iwi, with my hapu, that whole side. I actually asked my old man, because he was fluent in Te Reo, and I said, oh, can you teach me how to write in Māori? And he couldn't. And I thought he just couldn't be bothered, you know, and I didn't understand until later years. And he said he wasn't taught how to write Māori. They were just taught, you know, obviously that's the way they were communicated, because his parents were Māori, but when they went to school they were whipped. So that was something, you know, that was something that I had to learn and something like, you know, still trying to achieve.
Kapai, I'm hearing, Karl, the influence of your father on you. Who were some of your other iho pūmanu or role models growing up?
My grandfather was a massive one for me. He was heavily in the side of in rugby. He was selected, played for Wellington, played for New Zealand Māori. In our household, and our household hub was our nanny and papa, granddad, you know. So it wasn't the All Blacks that was the top in our household. My granddad's picture of him playing away in Sydney for the New Zealand Māori was what we held as the top team in New Zealand. So that was something we obviously tried to aspire to. I was lucky enough to follow in his footsteps, and it's probably one of the proudest moments for me. And after I finished high school, went down to Victoria to study at Wellington, and we have a lifelong club, which is Petone down there. And I went down there, and the granddad said, you can play for anyone in Wellington, whoever you like, as long as that's Petone. So that was a thing that was sort of passed on, but a generational thing, and it's carried on, went to my son and to me. So it's something that, you know, once again, what I love about sports is that generational thing, and being able to share that with the grandfather, the father, me, and then the son has been massive.
Yeah, kapai. So you went and played for Petone. Talk to me about the pivotal moment in your, you know, in your sporting career when you decided. When was that moment that you decided, right, I'm going to go and try for the New Zealand Sevens team?
This is quite embarrassing, but I'll chuck it
out.
Oh,
we're
anyway.
into embarrassing stories, aren't we?
No, but yeah, you're right. There's moments and times that really stick out. And when I was at varsity, I was on a scholarship through rugby to go and have all my fees paid. So I was pretty lucky early on, and I took it for granted early on. That first year in university, I just got on the piss, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
And it took me a year to find the library. There was this place that everyone used to congregate around. I said, what are these people hanging out?
Sorry.
Sorry, it's the library.
It took you a year to find the library.
Yeah. Needless to say, I didn't pass a couple of classes in that year, but yeah. But that was the thing, you know, like you get put on a pedestal and you get all these things given to you, and sometimes it gets away from you. So it took me a year to get through that, and obviously a few of my mates, we went through from Te Aute to Victoria, and there came a point in Christmas, and I was hungover to death. We'd been on a 3-day bender, and I just thought, man, I've just had enough.
Yeah.
You know, and my head's pounding and my body was sore, and I thought, you know, I've got to start thinking about what I want to shape and what I want to do. And I'll just rewind a little bit. The moment because of that was because I was at Te Aute College from 89 to 93, and 93 we went co-ed. It was Hokarere, so my sister went to Hokarere. So that was the first year that the girls came to TA, and it was the first time I ever got an A in sex education in the practical. Mum didn't like that A+. So my partner at the time was Hapu, and she rang me up on Christmas Eve of all times. Eke timing, so it was a bit of a shock, but so I had to negotiate that, being a young father, still at school, and going to varsity, getting on the drink, but I thought, you know, I've got a son to look after, I would have a bit more responsibility about me, and that was the moment that clicked for me. It's like, right, this is the time to shape up, and I was lucky enough to get chosen for this Hurricanes team to go over in Aussie and play this tournament against South Africa, Australia, and New Zealand teams, and Gordon Titchens was there, and I scored a try, and I got a chance to go to a Rugby World Cup qualifier in Portugal, I think, in 1996, and our plus columns, we had Cully, we had Jonah, we had Delasimo, we had Eric Rush. We were beating teams by 120, 150 to nil.
Wow.
And that was like 7 games, and I didn't score one try. They talk about the tries, I didn't score one try, but it was my body reacting to the changes in training, the nutrition, and my first experience of having that after being a uni student. So the body reacted negatively, but what reacted positively for me was being in that environment with those idols such as Eric, such as Seymour. We went to Tato Tipini as well, such as Glenn Osborne.
Yep.
So I had that Māori influence in there, and I knew I loved that environment. And I loved that black jersey. And just getting that taste of it just focused me into where I wanted to be. And I knew that's the place I needed to be. We've already heard a couple of speakers talk about that. So that was the moment for me. It's like, wow, let's sacrifice everything. I sort of, not distanced myself from my friends, but I sort of stopped going out on the drink and started focusing on my training. And the next camp after that Portugal tournament was Hong Kong. And there was a couple of us, myself, Ria Arua Tipuki. We were the 2 young ones that got to go to that tournament, which was quite prestigious because it wasn't the circuit per se as it is now. Hong Kong was the one. Mm-hmm. I think the year before I got there was when Cully blew up. And the year before that was Jonah. So that was my first experience of going and playing in front of 60,000 people and representing that black jersey.
Yeah. I mean, I read out some of the stats with your illustrious career. What is probably the most poignant highlight for you looking back?
Obviously making the New Zealand Māori was a big one for me, following the grandfather, but captaining your country for the first time. Rushy was getting on in age at that stage. He was there 10 years before me, and he was still there 10 years after I left too, Okoro, but great mentor, Rushy. Have you seen him, like you talk about people in business and thriving. That guy, as an example, I just talk about this Hong Kong. Like Rushy's he's always been intelligent, right? And he's always been a very giving person. And us as 19-year-olds going to Hong Kong, there wasn't all the sponsorship that goes around now. So what Rushy did, he knew that as New Zealanders and New Zealand team, he could leverage that. So he used to buy all these T-shirts. He would screen print them himself. He would sell them or pre-sell them before we even got to Hong Kong for massive amounts of money. And then I walked into my room in Hong Kong, still buzzing, and there's $1,000 in US currency sitting on my pillow. And Rushy had gone around every single member of that team through the funds that he created just to give a little bit to the men, you know, because $1,000 US back in that sort of time was massive for us. And that was that thing about whanaungatanga and bringing the young ones on and teaching that stuff. And I learned a lot out of Russia. And you talk about that Rugby World Cup that we won in 2001. That was the first one New Zealand's ever won. And Russia, he actually broke his leg. We tackled some bloke, and I broke his leg, and he shattered his leg. And so that night we were all broken because we thought, oh, shivers, our talisman's gone.
Yeah.
And then Gordon Titchens rang my room and said, can you come to my room, please? I said, oh, yes, sweet as. And I walked in, and there was him and all the management. And I was thinking, shit, I haven't done anything. I know he broke his leg, but I'm not going to get dropped for it, am I? It was a mistake. And Titch goes, look, I want you to captain the side. And I thought, to be able to have that moment to share with Rushy and obviously substitute for him, that's what gave us the motivation and the things that he's done for us for that whole period that I've been part of New Zealand 17 was massive. You don't sort of realise it until those sort of poignant moments. And it was one of those things, you talk about moments in time that you think, shit, that changed our whole direction. That's when Jonah, he just went angry and he was the man. And we knew all we needed to do was get to the finals because Jonah and Russia were tight, right? And they were roomies and whatnot. But we knew the big fella, he would score us 2 tries. We just needed to hang on from there, and that's what he did. And I think that's the influence when you have someone in your life that has that role model, knows and has the lens that you do,
Yeah.
and shares that. And I think that's something, so we need to employ a little bit more, but that's something I'll always remember,
Yeah. Hey, Karl, we are running out of time, but I do want to finish with, obviously, you're seen on our TV screens at the moment doing Sky Sport commentary. You enjoying it?
Yeah, I think for me, and it was hard. Like when I finished rugby, I got a lot of positivity out of that, whether it be the way you present yourself, your timekeeping, your discipline, and how you prepare for anything always stays the same. And TV, I grew up, there was no brown voices on TV, there was no brown faces to see on TV, and I thought this is where I want to be. And I've taken a lot of hits, I'll be honest, moving forward. It's pretty brutal out there in terms of television, as you know, like there's a lot of experts, but being one of the first ones to look different, sound different, and be different wasn't the way, especially at Sky at the time. And it was brutal, man. Like people would hit you up and you can't talk properly, you can't say your words properly. And it took me 10 years to get one Super Rugby game, to get my first Super Rugby game. And there was one point in time, there was they have these people called producers who take charge of those competitions. And it was always a Pākehā, and there was a Māori person that finally got it. And I thought, right, I'm in. And all the darkies got passed over. And so I went up to her and said, look, why are we not getting a chance? And the answer I got was, because you don't sound like one of them. And for me, you talk about moments in time, I was like, okay. So I tried it for one game, couldn't do it. I said, I'm authentically me, I'm not going to pretend to be anyone else. And if it takes me another 10 years to get one game, I don't care. I'm just going to go be me. And not to say it was all me. Melody Robinson was another trailblazer. Like, she got shit. Yeah. She got shit at that joint. And so we all do. I know the thing's going way over. But
go to play.
Yeah, I think it's important to know that it still goes on now. I've been lucky enough. And I'll be honest, like there's a lot of great people there as well. And I don't take that time lightly. I've learnt a lot. I got a lot of opportunities. But that allowed me to change my mindset and thought, well, if I'm not going to get opportunities here, I want to go over and above. I'm going to run this game. So I thought, well, rugby's where I've got to be. And after, 25 years, now I've finally signed on with World Rugby. And in those conversations off the kiddies table and now onto the main table, eating the proper kai, getting the powers and not getting the honey puffs. Getting the crayfish and up with the white bait. So, but like I'm supposed to be on meetings right now at World Rugby. We've got a Rugby World Cup happening in London, in England next year. But I asked my boss, who's a massive supporter of me, he's a Pākehā from over on the shore, but he's massive in the Indigenous space. And he's the one that's given me my new role at World Rugby to be a producer / commentator / head of commentary. So it's taken a long time to get there, but now I get an opportunity to pick our voices. And I told my boss when he sent the proposal in the end of the World Cup last year in France, we had a meeting. He goes, I want you to be the head of commentary, so you're going to pick all the commentators for every rugby, World Rugby gig, competition. So I said, all right, if I'm going to get full autonomy, it's going to get pretty dark up in here. And he said, you know what he said? Well, I apologise for my language. He goes, fucking mean. That's coming from a middle-aged Pākehā man, you know. And he's realising now his son has just married a beautiful young lawyer, Māori lady from down Tauranga. And he's got a moko now, who's half and half. So he went away and read about the treaty because he thought it's important for him to understand her side, but also preach his side as well. And it's amazing. He went and marched over the bridge, you know. So it's, for me, it's having that responsibility now. I've got a responsibility to look after our Indigenous. I've got a responsibility to create pathways that haven't been there previously. It's mean that Honey's up there smashing it now. We've seen all these dark faces up there on TV. We still need to do better in that space, but I'm trying to take it to the international level and try and get it there. Even on these team calls that are relentless at night, pushing our lens, our Indigenous lens, and whatever that looks like. Hopefully Māori, so hurry up, Honey, go do some more research and get on the grind. Nah, she's doing amazing, but that's for me, my purpose. I want to get off commentary. I've sort of hit my roof. Yeah. And then I've done Rugby World Cups, I've done the All Blacks, but for me now it's hopefully just giving opportunities for whoever, one of our tamariki, one of you fellas might want to jump on the comms. Some of us get lucky enough to get the black jersey. Some of us are lucky enough hopefully to be able to talk about the black jersey. So that's for me, anything. We've always got opportunities. It's not always a straight line. Sometimes we need to go off and verve, but as long as we stay true to where we need to be, someone will be there to hopefully give you an opportunity.
Ka pai, Karl. Tēnā koe. Oh, Karl.
I know, I'm 5 minutes over, sorry, team.
I was going to say, just as well we don't have an earpiece, the director will be going, 4 minutes over, wrap it up, wrap it up.
I can feel my phone going, Bailey Mackey's going, go. He's giving me that one.
Bro, it's all about quality, not quantity, ne?
Just before I go,
yes?
just
final word.
Promise, final word. Bailey Mackey is putting on a bar tab at Group Bar, so everybody's invited. Shop bales, big love, brother.
Karl Te Nana e te whānau hoa, te paki, shop brother.
See you, bro. Got a fans.